Hi, viewers! Sorry I've been gone, but I was sick with the flu for a week. My tongue still hurts for the numerous times I accidentally bit it while trying to sleep, and I think my voice is still recovering. But the show marches on! Now, I got a ton of suggestions to continue my Let's Make Bad Abilities Better series that apparently is doing pretty good, so let's keep going. Now, with that said, let's get into it, kiddies.
Is there more to us than the words we say, the games we play? Can we know that we're not dreaming?
Alright, we're still rolling, and to start us off with our first ability, I'm going to take the suggestion of light and heavy metal. As with the previous video when I talked about pressure, these are two abilities that mostly everyone swaps out as soon as possible, or they skip over them when breeding in exchange for a superior or more viable ability. Now, to explain, heavy metal and light metal adjust the weight of a Pokemon, doubling it in heavy metal's case, or halving it in light metal's case. This offers advantages to Pokemon that use moves that determine their strength value based on the weight of the Pokemon. As the heavier they are, the more damage they can deal to lighter weight Pokemon. On the downside, though, it also means that they take more damage if they are that heavy. Now, on paper, this is good. In practice, however, these abilities don't work that well because there are only 4 moves in Pokemon as of me writing this and pre-Scarlet and Violet that deal damage based on the user's target weight. Those 4 moves being Heavy Slam, Heat Crash, Grass Knot, and Low Kick. If you're a heavy physical attacker, you will generally want to use offensive moves that deal damage based on your weight. But if you're not a heavy Pokemon, you probably aren't going to use moves that deal damage based on your opponent's weight. This is because most people tend to focus on dealing reliable damage that doesn't rely on what the opponent's running or has for their team. This is why Heavy Slam and Heat Crash are so much more used compared to Low Kick and Grass Knot. Just to demonstrate, sure, a +2 Xerneas using Grass Knot on Kyogre will do way more damage than if you used Energy Ball, but a Rotom Wash will just laugh at the pitiful damage output Xerneas does with it compared to the more reliable damage of Energy Ball. The idea of heavy and light metal adjusting your Pokemon's weight to adjust how much damage they take from weight-based attacks is a good concept, but with just how few the selection of said moves there are, it's a useless ability no matter what you pick. So, thinking head of the Reshiram says, here's my idea for a change. For heavy metal and light metal, should the Pokemon have these abilities, its defenses will be increased as well as its weight being doubled at the expense of it losing half of its speed if it's heavy metal, and its speed increases but decreasing its defenses if it's light metal on top of it losing half of its weight. Now, my explanation is this. Pokemon trainers like to have either very fast, powerful hitters in a competitive setting or really bulky fighters that can take a good hit. Now, case in point, let's put Copper Raja and Duraludon from Galar as 2 Pokemon that could make use of these 2 abilities, though one has access to both, but we'll forget that part. Now, Copper Raja has really good HP and attack, but it crumbles in the defense and speed category. Outside of a Trick Room, it can't do much before it gets into a pickle, but you give Copper Raja heavy metal with my buffs, and suddenly this big boy becomes a walking bulldozer of a mon. Sure, it ain't getting anywhere very fast, but these buffs give it the endurance to survive the long haul. Now, Duraludon can go either way. It has a poor special defense stat and a pretty good defensive stat, but it has an average to good speed stat. And this is what gives it a middle ground when it comes to a competitive Pokemon. Now, you can either double this Pokemon's bulk at the cost of its speed, or you can increase its speed at the cost of its defensive stats going down. And honestly, Duraludon will love either way. I tried fitting in a music pun here, but these 2 abilities just don't scream Metallica without the buffs I gave them. Now, another ability I was asked to fix was Magma Armor, and this one is, well, kind of pointless in my opinion for a battle. Now, for the sake of knowledge, if a Pokemon has Magma Armor, then that Pokemon cannot be frozen. And if they gain the ability for whatever reason during a fight, and they are frozen, they'll be thawed instantly. Now, that's during battle. However, what most people use it for are for its out-of-battle effects. If a Pokemon with Magma Armor is in the lead of your party while you have an egg in your party, the egg will hatch twice as fast. Like I said, the ability is pointless, especially since Magma Armor Pokemon are often fire types and aren't likely to freeze to begin with, and even more so since there are only 3 Magma Armor Pokemon in all of Pokemon. Now, honestly, there's nothing wrong with the second effect, but it's sad that everyone only uses it for that effect to my knowledge. So, the Reshiram took his hat and asked the question of how to fix it. So, we came up with this idea. We keep the can't be frozen effect, but give it an effect where if the Pokemon gets hit by a water type move, the Pokemon's defensive stats go up by 1 stage before getting hit. Since there are only 3 Pokemon with this ability, and one of them has a ×4 weakness to water, this defensive buff can actually make for some interesting weakness policy plays. You know, I seem to really like giving Pokemon defensive buffs in these episodes. Anyone else notice that trend so far? Maybe it's just me. Alright, so what's next on the list? Stall. What does this even do? I've never seen this ability before. Hold on, let me get me my book. What does this ability do again? Are you serious? It always makes you move last, and the reason I don't see it is because the only Pokemon with this ability is Sableye? Well, I guess it would be good if you're using it to skill swap, but if that's the case, you're better off using a Trick Lagging Tail combo with Prankster. Hat? Any ideas? Alright! After careful, deliberate, and thoughtful planning, my idea for Stall is this. If the Pokemon has Stall, then it doubles the attack of whatever move the Pokemon uses if it goes last. Basically, my idea is this. Turn Sableye into a real buff Mon. Make him want to go last for his attacks. Because the only reason you want to go last, or at least after your opponent, is if you're using moves that rely on you going after the opponent. Of which Sableye does not learn any. Oh god, why did I even... Oh, this is such a bad ability. I really don't know what else I can do. I don't know what I can do with this. Alright, now, the last ability I'll cover for this video is going to be the Normalize ability. Now, this ability, much like Stall, is only found in one species, the Skitty and Delcatty line. And honestly, this isn't that bad of an ability on paper. What Normalize does is it causes all moves the Pokemon use to become normal type, and it increases their damage output by 20%. This also applies to already normal type moves, and when you factor in Stab Boost, that's same type attack bonus in case you're wondering, this means a normalized Pokemon deals almost double the damage. Just as an example, I decided to have Delcatty use Play Rough on Wailord, and I found out it 2-shots it. I am not taking the pun back. Now again, on paper, this is a good ability. It gives normal type Pokemon, at least in Delcatty's case, a nice offensive boost to their plan. However, Normalize makes all moves normal types, and therein lies the downsides. Rock types, Steel types, and finally Ghost types will laugh at Delcatty as it tries to bash into them no matter what move it uses. So, For the sake of buffing this ability, I'm going to take Random Chiz's idea and make it so that Normalize not only retains its normal buff, but it also makes it so Normalize affects all types equally, except ghost types. Personally, I think this is fair. Give Normalize a buff so that it can hit neutral to all non-ghost type Pokemon. And suddenly, normal types have only one type they struggle against. And this should be how it should be. This is really how it should, as the typing is concerned. At least for Delcatty. After all, normal type moves aren't super effective against anything, so that means they shouldn't really be weak to anything. Or at least they shouldn't be weak to anything but ghost types. I mean, that's normal logic, right? Perfectly balanced concept. So, these are what I would do for the buffs of these abilities. Do you like what I suggested? Do you think they could be improved, or are they wrong? Tell me down below. If you like the video, like it. Subscribe if you enjoy what I'm doing, and share the video to help the channel grow. You know, if you aren't so inclined. I'm not sure how many more abilities I can do before I run out of bad abilities to come out with. Then again, Scarlet and Violet are just a few days away, so probably get something then. Until next time, kiddies, bye-bye!
When you've reached the point where you can't go on, just come to me, you'll be safe from harm. If you trust in me, then I'll trust in you. There's nothing more that I need to do. If you put your hands in front of mine, we'll be shining through one at a time. Just understand you.